Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today we saw the interview with Charlie on the October 2021 visa bulletin. He had some interesting points to share, and as usual I thought I would summarize this interview for you so that you get the gist of it. So if you're interested in this topic, watch this video until the end and let's get started. If you are here for the first time, welcome. My name is Mandar and I make immigration related videos for US and Canada. I'm not an immigration lawyer, so anything that I say on this video or on my channel is for information purpose only. And for your specific immigration needs, before you take any action, you should hire a competent immigration lawyer. Now, since last several months, the Department of State with Charlie Oppenheim has been doing some interviews to explain what is shown in the visa bulletin in that current month that was just released. So as usual, today afternoon there was an interview with Charlie to explain about the visa bulletin for October and also address a lot of questions that people have been posting to Department of State. Now every once in a while somebody on my channel says, who is Charlie? And that kind of surprises me. If you are in the 485 stage or adjustment of stage or green card state, you better know who Charlie is, because Charlie holds the spreadsheet that controls people's life. Obviously I'm joking. This is something that somebody commented on my video and I found it very funny. So today's interview with Charlie was very interesting. He kind of explained why the dates haven't moved. So let's jump into the questions that he has answered today, and I'm going to keep it very brief. Charlie went on to explain it at lengths, but I will keep it at the minimum. In one of the questions, Charlie also alluded that only trust the information that he gives on his interviews and through the visa bulletin, especially for the dates and possible future dates that will be coming up in the visa bulletin. And he said, don't trust any other source. So on my channel, I only give you the facts. I only reiterate or restate what Charlie has said. I will not make any comments on my own or make any speculation on this particular video. So let's get started. So first question was regarding the documentarily complete and documentarily qualified. What's the difference? Because there was some confusion on NVC processing case where they, instead of using documentarily qualified, they started using documentarily complete. And Charlie said that they literally mean the same thing. Basically what NVC is trying to say is, now you have responded to the RFE, you have submitted all your documentation, and now your case has been submitted and reviewed and it is completed. Now it is ready to be processed or ready to be adjudicated. That's all it means. Now the next question was obvious, that in the September visa bulletin interview, Charlie mentioned that the retrogression will not probably happen right away, but India and China dates were moved back in the October visa bulletin. How did that happen? And Charlie kind of explained that process, that he has to get those numbers from USCIS for the projected pending demand that already exists in the backlog. So basically whatever number of applications were not processed until the end of September still fall into the October, and that number was quite high, and that's the reason he had to limit the number of incoming applications through retrogression for EB3 category for India and China. And this is just to curb that inflow of applicants. There is already a high number of applicants in the process that are waiting to be adjudicated. And he did say that as and when the information comes in, they always continue to monitor the situation and adjust the dates in the next visa bulletin. The next question was, in the projections of the visa availability for EB category for final action date, do you expect the retrogression to be in the months or in the years? And Charlie said that he cannot answer that. He cannot estimate at this point of time how much retrogression if and when it will happen. He just wanted to alert it in the visa bulletin, in the current October visa bulletin, that might happen. Come October 1st, he will have to kind of revisit the demand and then make the next projection for the November visa bulletin. And whatever retrogression will happen, Charlie will try to make it one-time retrogression so that there is so the people know the impact of that on their cases. If there is further information, then corrective actions will be taken in order to adjust the dates. He also mentioned that the longer he waits to do the retrogression, the bigger the impact would be down the line. If he lets the demand continue to grow, there will be too many people in the pool, and there might not be enough visa applicants, and there might be a need for a bigger retrogression down the line. So the next question was, why did you indicate that there will be a need for retrogression for the EB category? So Charlie still confirmed that he still believes that there will be about 290,000 EB visa numbers available. So basically based 140,000 and spilled over 150,000 from FP category visas available for EB category. Even with that 290,000 number, there are enough applications in the pool. There is already that much demand, that many applications to use up those numbers, and that's why he couldn't change the dates. There are more than enough applications for EB3 than there are visa numbers available at the end of this year. So that's why he had to retrogress EB3. He also explained that usually the worldwide numbers that are unused spill over into the EB category, but with the new information that he has received, even the worldwide numbers were being used up. They had demand as well, and thus there are fewer unused numbers from that worldwide category to spill over into the EB category. And that was primarily the force last year, where there were many spilled over numbers from the worldwide unused category, which spilled over to EB category, that allowed the EB2, EB3 to progress so rapidly in 2021. But that is kind of slowed down now. There is higher demand on the worldwide side, so there is lesser number of visas spilled over into this EB3 category. So that's the reason for retrogression. He also expanded on that. Now there was a question that what happens to the pending cases in EB2 after they downgrade. So EB2 will remain in the pending status until there is a visa assigned to it or authorized to it. So once you are documentarily complete, only then a visa number is requested for that pending EB2. Now if you have downgrade in the meantime, and if the downgraded petition is documentarily completed prior to the EB2 getting the visa number, in that case what happens is then officer withdraws that EB2 number and then requests the EB3 number for your petition, and that's how your EB3 process file gets progressed. And he said the same logic applies in the upgrade as well. So if you are upgrading for EB3, EB2 to EB1, the same logic applies. Now there was a question about the KCC's response to the diversity lottery, and then Charlie said that the KCC, which is the Kentucky Processing Center, is doing its best to see the interview availability at the consulates and process these cases. So he highly recommended going into the consulate websites and checking out what is the processing time for the DV lottery applicants. Now there were again the similar question in a slightly different flavor. What is the visa availability projections? Will the final action dates move in the foreseeable future? And Charlie said that the FB and EB final action dates were advanced at a regular pace since March of 2020. So since last 1.5 years, since the beginning of pandemic, those dates were progressively moved at a consistent pace. They have been moved specifically, if you think about it, final action date chart is used starting January for EB category as well, so to create the demand. So they have been consistently moving it forward to create the demand. Now he's saying that there is enough demand already created with the progression of those dates until September. Because of that enough demand, he sees no need to progress those FAD date, final action dates, even further at this point of time. There was a question why Indians have to wait for a long period of time, especially in the EB2, EB3 category for decades, and few other countries and other country citizens do not have to wait for that long. And he obviously alluded to the fact that there is a per country cap of 7%, although in spite of that cap, typically Indians and Chinese get a larger number of visas actually allocated, because those spillovers from the other EB categories and worldwide categories still come back to the backlog countries such as India and China. So in reality, they get a lot more visa numbers than 7%. Now there were some live questions that Charlie also answered. There were a few questions about the FB category. One particular question: for those who are documentarily qualified in the F4 category, which is family preference category, is there any chance to expediting the case? There may be for aging out situation or extenuating circumstances only, extenuating in the sense if there is an immediate need, or if there is a risk for a US citizen to be taken care of and things like that, there might be a case for expediting your case. Otherwise, there is no way of expediting your 485 application. There was a question about, will China EB3 advance this fiscal year? Retrogression of EB China will happen in November. There might be a one-time retrogression and then it might advance, but he's not seeing advancement in the foreseeable future. There was a question about when can we see the normal interview processing happening at the consulates. It all depends on the country guidelines, how soon they are able to open, and that should be mentioned on their websites of those particular embassies. Now this was the most interesting question: what happened to the 150k spillover numbers? Charlie again confirmed that he still he expected 150k in addition to the 140,000, so to total of 290,000 visas available for 2022 for EB category, and they have been taken into consideration. So basically a lot of us were thinking that because the priority dates did not change for October, it might be that they did not take those 290k visa numbers into account, but that seems not to be the case. Charlie has taken those numbers into account while creating the October visa bulletin. It seems that the backlog is so much that and we saw in the numbers as well, it was around 300,000, more than 300,000 pending applications, 485 applications in the backlog. So it's no surprise that these numbers did not make any difference, because there is still that demand to use up all those 290,000 visa numbers for EB category, and that's the reason those dates did not move. So that was a good clarification that most of us wanted to have from Charlie. Now again, there were repeat questions that what was the reason for the retrogression, and he had already answered that there is already enough demand caused because of the progression of the dates in the last full year. So he sees no need. In fact, there are more number of applications than there are visas available, so he has to retrogress the dates. Then there was a question about what about the November visa bulletin? Will F3 visa category movement? So he says that there will be no movement until January for F3 visa category. No forward movement for worldwide dates for at least 6 months. That's what he clarified. Then there was a question about what was the projection for diversity lottery. He said the cutoffs will continue to advance through at a regular pace, just like they did in 2021. It may also accelerate in the upcoming months. So that is a good news for DV lottery winners. There was a question that why don't you use Zoom interviews like they seem to work for judiciary systems and things like that, but Charlie said that we are legally mandated to do the in-person interviews, and that's why they cannot do Zoom calls for the interviews. There was a question about Mumbai consulate, when will it open, and the same answer, go to the website and check it out. There was a very interesting question. Appreciate your work, Charlie. When would the March 2014 the date become current for EB3 India? Charlie said that don't expect that to be current in this year. but if it does, you would be pleasantly surprised. He also alluded to the fact that only rely on the information that he gives through his interviews and through the visa bulletin, because that is based on the numbers. Any other projections made by anybody else should not be taken into consideration, and I fully agree with it. On my channel, whenever I do any kind of speculations or projections, that is based on what Charlie says in his interviews and based on the visa bulletin. So you should not take your life decisions based on any of the information. I would say don't make many decisions based on the visa bulletin either, because as Charlie gets new information, he adjusts the dates in the next month. So any speculation anybody makes is really speculative, and you cannot build your life around it. Make sure you take all this information with a grain of salt. Then there was a question about can you release the numbers for EB2 and EB3 so that people who are contemplating doing the downgrades or the upgrades can do so with informed decision. And he said he would that information, even if he gives out, that would not be relevant for a lot of application downgrading, and he wouldn't want to use it either for the retrogression or progression purpose, because until the downgrade is actually done, that case is not actually downgraded. In other words, even if you do an EB3 filing, until it reaches the point to grab a visa number, it doesn't mean anything, because only then that EB2 visa will be released and EB3 will be attached to the case. He again reiterated for the worldwide F4 preference category that there won't be any progressive movement for the next 6 months at the least. There were a lot of questions about the document really complete, and he did mention it several times that if you have a notice or a RFE from USCIS, do respond to it in a timely manner, because if you don't, then your case is delayed further. So make sure if you get any notification from USCIS, you do respond to them in a timely manner. So really that's all I wanted to cover in this video. If you like the content of this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel.